Hello friends, you are watching 3A's Vision, an innovative distance learning channel. We have started a series of videos about international financial reporting standards and international accounting standards, followed one by one. It is most important and desired that if you are interested in improving your learnings in international financial reporting standards and international accounting standards, subscribe to our channel and click on bell icon to get our future updates. In preparation of IFRS 2 video, we tried our level best to cover the maximum matter of discussion which will be helpful to understand the IFRS 2. Therefore, keeping in view the length of this video, we have split up the video of this standard in 4 different parts to control its time length. Therefore, to get complete knowledge, watch its all parts. In part 3rd of IFRS 2 videos, we will discuss the next two main elements of IFRS 2, which are equity settled share-based payment transactions with employees and cash settled share-based payment transactions with employees. Moreover, remaining elements of IFRS 2 will be discussed in next videos, keeping in view the time length of the videos. In discussion of equity settled share-based payment transactions with employees, we will discuss the 9 key factors of this element, that are: number 1, who is an employee; number 2, basic principles of accounting determination of grant date; number 3, determination of the vesting period; number 4, determination of type of equity instruments granted; number 5, measurement principles; number 6, variable number of equity instruments or variable exercise price; number 7, multiple vesting conditions; number 8, forfeiture or cancellation; and number 9, presentation in financial statements. First of all, who is an employee? Employees and other providing similar services are defined as individuals who render personal services to the entity and either are regarded as employees for legal or tax purposes, work for the entity under its direction in the same way as individuals who are regarded as employee for legal or tax purposes, or render services similar to those rendered by employees. Secondly, basic principles of accounting for equity settled share-based payment transactions with employees. Services received in an equity settled share-based payment transaction with employees are recognized as the services are received. The value of employee services is measured indirectly with reference to the fair value of the equity instruments granted rather than directly at the fair value of the services. The fair value of the equity instruments granted for services received from employees in an equity settled share-based payment is determined at grant date rather than every date on which services are received. Share-based payments may include conditions that determine whether the employee is entitled to receive the payment. Such conditions are reflected in the accounting for equity settled share-based payments with employees by applying the modified grant date method. Like market conditions, non-vesting conditions are reflected in measuring the grant date fair value of the share-based payment, and there is no true-up in the measurement of the share-based payment for differences between the expected and the actual outcome of non-vesting conditions. Number 3, determination of grant date. Grant date is the date at which the entity and the employee agree to a share-based payment arrangement and requires that the entity and the employee have a shared understanding of the terms and conditions of the arrangement. If the agreement is subject to an approval process, then the grant date cannot be before the date on which that approval is obtained. The arrangement also need to be communicated to the employees to achieve grant date. A shared understanding may not require the finalization of all terms and conditions. For example, an offer may not specify the actual exercise price, but instead may state the formula that determines how the actual exercise price will be established. grant date is not reached until there is acceptance of the offer by the employee. The acceptance may be explicit, for example, by signing a contract, or implicit, for example, by commencing to render services. Some share-based payment arrangements may provide a remuneration committee or an equivalent body with differing degrees of discretion to amend the terms of awards. If a share-based payment arrangement contains a discretion clause, then it is necessary to consider the impact of the discretion clause on the determination of grant date of the share-based payment, whether modification accounting should be applied if discretion is exercised after grant date. The fourth factor of this element, that is determination of vesting period, in which we will discuss first of all service commencement date and grant date. The vesting period is the period during which all of the specified vesting conditions are to be satisfied in order for the employees to be entitled unconditionally to the equity instrument. Normally, this is the period between grant date and the vesting date. However, services are recognized when they are received, and grant date may occur after the employees have begun rendering services. Grant date is a measurement date only. If grant date occurs after the service commencement date, then the entity estimate the grant date fair value of the equity instruments for the purposes of recognizing the services from the service commencement date until grant date. Graded vesting. In some situations, the equity instruments granted vest in installments over the specified vesting period. Assuming that the only vesting condition is service from grant date to the vesting date of each tranche, each installment is accounted for as a separate share-based payment. As a result, even though all grants are made at the same grant date, there will be several fair values and the total cost recognized each year will be different because both the grant date fair value and the vesting periods are different. Attribution to periods. When allocating the cost of share-based payment awards that requires the achievement of both service and performance conditions, and the share-based payment cost should be recognized on a straight line basis over the vesting period. Variable vesting period. In some share-based payments, the length of the vesting period varies depending on when a performance condition is satisfied. In this case, the length of the expected vesting period needs to be estimated. If the performance condition in such transactions is a market condition, then the length of the expected vesting period is estimated consistently with the assumptions used in estimating the grant date fair value of the equity instruments granted. The length of the vesting period is not revised subsequently. Thirdly, non-market performance condition with variable vesting period. In contrast to a variable vesting period with a market condition, if the length of the vesting period is dependent on achieving a non-market performance condition, then the entity makes an estimate of the length of the expected vesting period at grant date based on the most likely outcome of the performance condition. Subsequently, the entity revises the estimate of the length of the vesting period until the actual outcome is known. If the arrangement is accounted for as the grant with a variable vesting period, then the entity estimates at grant date whether the employees will complete the requisite services period and the non-market performance condition will be satisfied. In fifth factor of this element, we will discuss determination of type of equity instruments granted. First of all, employee share purchase plans. In the employee share purchase plans, the employees are usually entitled to buy shares at a discounted price. The terms and conditions can vary significantly, and some employee share purchase plans include option features. Options are characterized by the right but not the obligation to buy a share at a fixed price. An option has a value, that is the option premium, because the option holder has the benefit of any future gains and has none of the risk of loss beyond any option premium paid. The value of an option is determined in part by its duration and by the expected volatility of the share price during the terms of the option. Secondly, share purchases funded through loans. The determination of whether a share purchase plan is, in substance, an option plan is affected when the employee receives a loan from the entity to fund the purchase of shares. A share purchase funded through loans provided by or granted by the granting entity may indicate that an employee share purchase plan is in substance an option plan. The sixth factor of this element, that is measurement principles. First of all, we will discuss the determining fair value of equity instruments granted. Share-based payment transactions with employees are measured with reference to the fair value of the equity instruments granted. The fair value of the equity instruments granted is determined as follows. If market prices are available for the actual equity instruments granted, that is shares or share options with the same terms and conditions, then the estimate of fair value is based on the market prices. And if market prices are not available for the equity instruments granted, then the fair value of equity instruments granted is estimated using a valuation technique. Secondly, dividends. The treatment of expected dividends in measuring the fair value of the equity instruments depends on whether the employees are entitled to dividends. If the employees are not entitled to dividends declared during the vesting period, then the grant date fair value of these equity instruments is reduced by the present value of dividends expected to be paid during this period compared with the fair value of equity instruments that are entitled to dividends. The seventh factor of this element, that is variable number of equity instruments or variable exercise price. First of all, shares to the value of. If a variable number of equity instruments to the value of a fixed amount is granted, commonly known as share to the value of, then such an arrangement is an equity settled share-based payment. And secondly, non-market performance condition and variable number of equity instruments. If there is a performance condition attached to a share-based payment arrangement, then often such conditions determine whether the employee receive the share-based payment in an all or nothing manner. Thirdly, non-market performance condition and variable exercise price. If the exercise price of share options granted varies with the level of achievement of a non-market performance target, then the entity uses the grant date fair value that applies to the most likely outcomes of the non-market performance target when it tunes up the actual cost to be recognized. And fourthly, market condition and variable number of equity instruments. Typically, an employee is granted a share-based payment to receive a fixed number of equity instruments subject to vesting conditions In such situations, the entity values the individual equity instruments granted to determine the grant date fair value of the share-based payment. The eighth factor of this element, that is multiple vesting conditions. First of all, multiple cumulative performance conditions and conditions. Vesting conditions may require two performance conditions to be satisfied. For example, one market condition and one non-market performance condition. And secondly, multiple alternative performance conditions or conditions. Some share-based payment transactions may require the satisfaction of both or service condition and at least one of two alternative performance conditions. For example, one market condition or one non-market performance condition for the share-based payment to vest. The ninth factor of this element, that is forfeiture or cancellation. Here we will discuss clauses setting out entitlement in case of failure to meet service conditions because of action by employer. Share-based payment arrangements may contain clauses setting out the employee's entitlement. For example, expiration of vesting in the specific event of termination by the employer on the sale of an operation. The accounting should reflect the terms of arrangements in these cases. The last factor of this element, that is presentation and financial statements. First of all, presentation of share-based payment cost in profit or loss. International Accounting Standard 1, presentation of financial statements does not contain specific guidance on the presentation of the share-based payment cost in profit or loss. Therefore, share-based payments received in the capacity of an employee should be included in employee benefits. And secondly, presentation of credit entry and equity. IFRS 2 does not specifically address the presentation of the credit entry with an equity. One method is to accrete the credit to equity as the employee cost is recognized. In discussion of cash settled share-based payment transactions with employees, we will discuss the 5 main factors of this element, that are: number 1, basic principles of accounting; number 2, presentation in profit or loss; number 3, comparison with accounting; number 4, redeemable shares; and finally the number 5, disclosures. Cash payments depending on share price versus being based on share price. A cash payment may depend on but not be based on the share price. Capped payments. An arrangement may provide for a payment to be made that is based on the share price of an entity but is subject to a cap. Secondly, remeasurements. At each reporting date and ultimately at the settlement date, the fair value of the recognized liability is remeasured. Remeasurement applies to the recognized portion of the liability through to vesting date. The full amount is remeasured from vesting date to settlement date. Remeasurements during the vesting period are recognized immediately to the extent that they relates to past services, and recognition is spread over the remaining vesting period to the extent that they relates to future services. Remeasurements after the vesting period are recognized immediately in profit or loss. The second factor of this element, that is presentation in profit or loss. The expense reflecting the recognition of the grant date fair value of a cash settled share-based payment to employees is presented as an employee benefit expense, similar to expense under equity settled share-based payments. The third factor of this element, comparison with accounting for equity settled share-based payment transactions with employees. First of all, we will discuss the similarities. The cost is recognized immediately if there is no service condition, and it is recognized over the vesting period if there is one. The cost is recognized as an expense unless the goods or services received qualify for asset recognition. The grant date fair value is at least based on the fair value of the underlying equity instruments, taking into account market or non-vesting conditions. An estimate is made of the number of awards for which services and non-market performance conditions are expected to be satisfied, with a tune-up to the number ultimately satisfied. Secondly, the differences between the equity settled and cash settled share-based transactions with employees. Number 1, the credit entry is in equity, whereas in cash settled, the credit entry is a liability. Secondly, no remeasurement of the grant date fair value in equity settled, whereas in cash settled, remeasurement of the liability at each reporting date and on settlement date. And thirdly, the cumulative cost is trued up only for changes in estimates about services and non-market performance conditions. No subsequent true up if market and non-vesting conditions are not satisfied in equity settled. On the other hand, in cash settled, the cumulative net cost is ultimately equal to the settlement amount. Accordingly, number 4, the equity settled expenses is recognized over the vesting period in equity settled, and on the other hand, cash settled expense is recognized until settlement. The fourth factor of this element is redeemable shares. Grants of equity instruments that are redeemable are classified as cash settled share-based payments under certain conditions depending on which party has the option to redeem. At the date on which the option is exercised, the redemption value of the share and therefore the liability recognized for the redeemable shares will be equal to the sum of the exercise price and the intrinsic value of the option. The fifth and last factor of this element, that is disclosures. There are specific disclosure requirements regarding the measurement of the fair value for share options. Therefore, for cash settled share-based payments, the following disclosures on measurement of fair value should be provided. Number 1, awards granted during the period. Disclosures on measurement of fair value at grant date and at the reporting date. Secondly, awards granted in previous periods but unexercised at the reporting date. Disclosures on measurement of fair value at the reporting date. At the end, in our next and last video, that is part 4 of IFRS 2, we will discuss about remaining very important elements of the IFRS 2, that are number 1, employee transactions, choice of settlement, number 2, modifications and cancellations, number 3, group share based payments, and final number 4, share based payment transactions with non-employees. Therefore, keep on watching our videos. Thanks and goodbye.